In this video, I'll be talking to the CEO and co-founder of Yelly Dream Creations, Aswin Srivatsangam, who has made it possible in bringing the Indian superhero comic book storyline onto the big screen. So without further ado, let's jump right into today's video.
Hey Ashwin, what's up? Welcome to the
Hey,
Geeky Talk Show.
thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing? How's California?
As bad as any part of the world.
I hope the coronavirus cases are getting like better. The numbers are going down.
California as a state has the highest number of cases in the US, but but it's also the most populous state. Like it's the
Okay.
equivalent of UP in India.
India,
So
man, almost 12 crore, I guess.
big state, geographically big state, and
Mhm.
by population too, it's a big state.
I hope you're doing good because you're taking like precautions and all, everything.
Yep. I've been working from home for many months since mid-March. I do step outside. There is a hill right across, so I go there. It's a small hill, so I go there
Oh,
for hiking. So it's my break time. But
oh,
other than that, I was supposed to have been in India for the summer for the break
oh.
with
Hmm.
wife and daughter, and that didn't happen.
Hmm.
So we still have the tickets. So
It
the
totally
tickets are
sucks, I know.
yeah.
So you
Right.
had plans to like promote Rakshak or announce the Rakshakam here in India, right?
Not real. I would have made an announcement for Rakshak this summer.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know. It depends. Again, it's contingent to Mr. Sanjay Gupta, and he probably if COVID hadn't come, he would have finished his Mumbai Saga film with
Okay,
John and Imran Hashmi. So
Acha, okay.
the last couple of days of shoot are still there, and
Oh.
yeah, so I think they are still looking at possible days in the next coming months to complete that film. I
Hmm.
also think that they had edited most of the film. Maybe I think whatever those couple of days of shoot, I think it's just the promo part of the film. But
Okay.
otherwise, it's
Hmm.
shot and made. But then I think they weren't able to advance to the next step. And I think Mumbai Saga was supposed to have been released in June or July.
Yeah, I think so. I heard this in Jan 2020 about this
Hmm.
release date. It was supposed to release in June 2020, June or July
Correct.
2020, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
Ashwin, sorry, but can you give us a brief introduction to our audience? Who are you and
Yeah.
what do you do?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Aswin from Sriyat Sangam. I'm based in California, and I'm a comic book publisher and the founder of Yari Dream Creations. And we came in as a publisher. We came in as a company in the year 2013. The first book that we debuted was The Caravan. I think it was June 2013. Uh, it was written by Shamik Dasgupta, and that was the first foray into comics as a publisher. But I had created a couple of comics prior to becoming a publisher. So one
Okay.
was Rise of Beric White, and then Nirakshi, The Quest for Amrit. So the thing is, why I became a publisher is I had always wanted to do something with the comics, and
Oh.
when I started creating my graphic novels,
Mhm.
co-creating and co-art directing, and when I got the product ready, I
Okay.
found it difficult to get a publisher of who I want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Right.
when it dawned on me, why don't I become my own publisher? And I chose a region that I know better. Culturally, I'm connected to India, and also
Mm-hmm.
there are few independent publishers in India. So I thought why not fill that gap, and also accomplish what I want to do. And that's
Right.
when my collaboration with artists in India, writers in India started.
Mhm.
Caravan was first, then followed by we did an adaptation, a graphic novel adaptation of the Bengali classic Devi Chaudhrani. Then we went out to do a sequel for Caravan called The Blood War.
Right. Yeah.
Then the Rakshak four-part series happened.
Mm-hmm.
We started working on the first issue sometime in end of 2015, and by 2017 we had released all the four issues. Uh, either 2017 or 2018, I forget.
2017.
So
Yeah.
2017, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it was a 4-part series with 350 pages. And we also had The Village. We worked on The Village simultaneously. It's a standalone graphic novel. And we haven't released anything since 2018. I think The Village was the last release. But we've been working on stuff, and so, but now the work hasn't stopped. But just that we hadn't released. We're moving to many regions. We hadn't released. A sequel for Caravan is already complete. It's print ready almost. But we're just waiting for a safe release. With the COVID, and we're also working on a next story arc for Rakshak. It's called Rakshak Crackdown. The first one was called Rakshak, A Hero Amongst Us.
Right. So you're taking a step further with Rakshak and the storyline.
Yeah, we would. It would take you exactly from where the story is left.
Okay, so it is a continuation to the original. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So Shramik Dasgupta has been working with you from 2013. So
Correct.
he's like he's playing the major part in many comic books that you have published. So
that is so.
Okay.
He has been my main collaborator in the comics that we have created. Also, prior to that, I'd collaborated with another writer, Ashok Rajagopalan. But all the books that came under the imprint of Yali are all with Shramik. And but then now, as I'm talking to you now, I'm working with another exciting talent. So we will make an announcement, hopefully by the end of the month. We are working on the teaser art.
Okay.
It's another exciting superhero story.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I think it's completely disconnected from the Rakshak world.
Acha, you're not planning to set it in the same universe as Rakshak?
No, we don't want to. So I think as of now, the Marvel part of making one universe, interconnected universe, I don't think I want to do that. Okay. So I don't think we are ready yet. Ready as a comic book company, as also the film industry. I think doesn't work the same way. So to replicate that model, one, it's difficult. Two, I don't think we want to take that path. See, if you look at our genres, they're also different. We're not exclusively doing only superhero content. Yes. Caravan and The Village are horror, but they are different. One is a social horror, and another one is the vampires horror. Fantasy horror. Yeah, that's the Caravan. And Rakshak is a superhero. Devi Chaudhrani is a classic, and the story that we are going to make an announcement, it's a superhero, but it's a completely different kind of a superhero. Rakshak is a vigilante, the superhero, more realistic. It's almost believable. Right. But one that we're going to make an announcement, it will be slightly over the top.
Okay, so so the character will have actual superpowers, nothing like a vigilante.
Yes, correct.
Oh. So
he could do some superhuman stuff.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So, audience, you're hearing this from Ashwin himself on this channel and this talk show. This is the official announcement. So, Ashwin, I'll start with the obvious question. So, what was the motivation and idea behind creating Yali Dreamworks?
Yali Dreamworks, right? As I said, I always wanted to do something with the comics. I was influenced since my childhood with animations first, then the comics. Because I was watching Hanna-Barbera and Disney's and other stuff. Then got into Tinkles and Amachitra Kathas, then the Asterix and Tintin and Marvels and DC. I was always wanting to do something visual. Even my day job, I'm a UI UX designer. So which is to do with design and colors and typography. Yeah. So somehow this feeds into that. So that it's because in UX it's a storytelling. You got to know who the user is. Right. So I'm using some of those principles here, and as I told you before, I had difficulty finding the right publisher. I found publishers, but they were not the ones that I wanted to work with for the first books that I created. So that's when I thought, okay, I think I want to become my own brand, and then Yali Dream Creations. And to explain what is Yali, Yali is a half lion, half elephant creature. You've probably seen it in the logo at Yali Dream
Yeah.
Creations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an anamorphic creature which is recognizable. It is, which had a, you can say recognizable at the same time. What do I say? It's something you know it. Okay, that's something unique about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
and it's found in the temples of southern India, primarily in southern India, but there's also multiple mythology connected to it in pan India. So,
Okay.
Ali has a Sanskrit name called Sarabeshwara, who's supposed to be Shiva himself,
Oh.
and Shiva came down in that form to
Hmm.
cool down Vishnu, who had taken the form of Narsimha.
Okay. That's
So he
interesting.
came, he took that form and shape to cool him down. So that is one of the mythology connected to it. So, but for me, what attracted most is not the mythology behind Yali, but the form of Yali.
Okay. That's why the Yali Dream works.
Yeah. Dream Creations. Yeah, Creations is the name of the comic book company, and the
Okay.
offshoot of Yali Dream Creations is Yali Dream
Dream
Works.
works. Oh.
So I don't know for the viewers. I want to introduce that company because not many people know about it.
Hmm.
The production house created and established end of last year. So that's going to
Okay.
adapt our comics, the comics created under Yali imprint, to the
Okay.
audiovisual format. So it's in principle, it's like Marvel Comics and Marvel Studios.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So we might expect Caravan as well, a live action adaptation of Caravan.
Right. Even with
Okay.
Rakshak, we are coming in as a co-producer. Yali DreamWorks is a co-producer of the movie.
Okay. So who will be producing the film?
Sanjay Gupta under his company White Feather Entertainment.
Okay. Cool. That's pretty cool.
They're coming in. I mean, he's going to take the bulk of the work. He's the right person to helm it for sure.
Right.
So, but
Exactly.
we are coming in as a co-producer. That's going to be our first foray into it. But then we are
Mhm.
looking to do the similar model for Caravan as we talk, and we are in early conversation with the filmmaker and an OTT platform for
Okay.
Caravan. Nothing is set on stone yet.
That's pretty cool. But I hope we get a good producer like Sanjay Gupta.
Yeah, but again, Yali Dream Works as a company. I co-founded this company with another seasoned producer. His name is Vivek Rangachari.
Right.
He's based in Mumbai, so
Mhm.
he's pretty well connected. He connected to the industry, connected to the platforms. So, Yali under him, I think it's in the safe hands to do what we want to do.
Right. So, Ashwin, how did you get introduced to the world of superheroes and comic books?
Yeah, well, world of superheroes. My first superhero, I was a fan of Superman first,
Oh,
and
nice.
I used to, as a child, I would tie a towel around, make it as a cape, uh, and then do a twirl around my hair. And I thought, first I was Kent, and then I became Superman, right? So that was how it all started. My first love was Superman, right? Then it percolated into other superheroes, and then of course today I can confidently say one of my, if it's not Rakshak, if it's not a comic book, a superhero not created by Yali Dream Creation,
Yali.
it's Batman, who you see here.
Batman, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm wearing a Avengers t-shirt. That's from Entertainment Store.
One by Entertainment Store. Is
Yeah,
it the
Entertainment
comic?
Store.
Oh, one in Bangalore, right?
It's in Bangalore as well as in Mumbai. There
Oh,
are
okay.
2 to 3 stores here in India.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I never been to that Entertainment Store.
It's pretty cool. You have to visit the store. They have n number of superhero figurines and statues and whatnot. It's like
Okay.
the geekiest shop you can find in India.
Yeah, we need more of it in India.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have visited the store for 8 to 10 times, and whenever you go to that store, you will pretty much geek out. There's n number of things that you can purchase.
I go to comic stores here in California, but it's I don't go too often. But whenever I go, I get completely glued. I become like a kid in the candy store.
Exactly. We become like 10-year old kid when we
Yeah.
see a superhero figurine or t-shirts, whatnot,
The
right?
comic books, the artwork, everything. So
Exactly.
I'm just so mesmerized.
Actually, you are like if you're staying in US, you are privileged to get comic books like from Marvel or DC Comics. So because in India we did not get that much, right? So what are you like with Yellow Dreamworks? What are your plans for the Indian audience? How are you guys planning to publish or distribute more comic books to the Indian audience and reach out
We
to more
are,
people?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we are, our focus is only India now, for now. So, and, therefore the name, even the company, everything is established in India. In fact, I don't have my comics distributed, physically distributed in the US. That's something I would do in the future
Hmm.
when I have maybe more IPs, intellectual properties. But
Right.
then right now the focus is India, and our comics are, until the COVID came, we were buyers, readers could buy it from our own store,
Right.
yalidreamcreations.com,
Hmm.
and then of course we are available on Amazon. These are two places where readers would buy it physically, and of course we are also available in the digital format. I think there's a Readware. Some of our books are available in the Readware, and then Comixology.
Yep.
Except for David Chirani, everything is available in Comixology. I
Right.
think I can probably say that after Graphic India, we are the only Indian comic book, Indian origin comic book company which has presence in Comixology.
Yeah, because I read all the four issues from Rakshak
Look,
on Comixology.
you did? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because this COVID situation, like after the news broke out about Sanjay Gupta producing a superhero film, I instantly bought four issues on Comixology and read the entire thing. So
Oh,
that's why I'm excited, and that's why I'm interviewing you here.
okay. Okay. Somehow I didn't get any notifications because I get notified when somebody buys it. Off late, I'm not getting the notifications when somebody buys it. I think there's a glitch at Comixology.
Maybe.
So I have to contact their support.
I guess something is like they might have huge traffic on the server or something.
Could be,
Maybe.
right. Comixology is an Amazon company, as
Right.
you know.
Hmm.
They, they got acquired, I think, a few years back.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago, I guess so, because earlier when I used to read Marvel comics on Comixology, Amazon did not buy it till then, I guess.
Yeah. And Comixology, they're also doing originals now, and not
Yeah,
just from the publishers. They're doing originals, which is interesting.
that's pretty good because we need more comic books so that are original and not just attached to like bigger companies
Right,
like Marvel
right.
or DC or Valiant or any companies, right?
Mhm. We need quality ones though, right?
Yeah,
So we don't want just one of the many thousand comics, but we also need reasonable quality. People should think out of the box. Storytelling, when I say think out of the box, it doesn't have to be another Game of Thrones. It doesn't have to have a big universe. It could
right.
be great, an idea.
True. How did you and co-founder Vivek Rangachari meet and establish the Yearly Dream Creations or Yearly
Sure.
Dream Perks? Yeah.
Reality works, yes.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting story. It came through an agent who was representing me for Caravan. So Caravan itself has a backstory. So Caravan was optioned by a Clean State Film, a company owned by Anushka and Karnesh Sharma.
Okay.
So we had optioned it for 2 years. So after the option period, we got the rights back to us. So then I was shopping around to see who would be interested. So that's when at that time my agent connected me to Dar Media, which is a company owned by Vivek Rangachari,
Okay.
and our conversation started. And we thought, why limit ourselves to the collaboration on Caravan? So as we were talking about Village, we were talking about Rakshak, and one thing led to the other, and after many phone calls and investment of time, we thought, okay, we have a synergy, we have a vision. Why don't we put together? I can be the comic book publisher, and he can come in as a producer. Create a new entity. A comic book to a comic book company also being a production house is not done in India. So
Right.
and we want to do it right. We don't want to just do it for the sake of it. So, and he, with his background, he had the an attitude, right aptitude to it, and I'm still learning with my conversations with him.
Okay.
Right. So we had, there we are, and we started. We found this company end of last year. It was founded in November last year.
Okay.
But the conversations were November 2019 is probably when we started the company. But the investment, the idea for it started a while back.
So it took like more than a year or two.
I mean, we didn't exactly start. Okay, let's create Yali Dream Works. Right?
Okay.
It's not started like that. But we are thinking that we should do something where we come together, create an entity. So that's how it started. And how do we do it? Who do we work with? What platform? All those conversations happen. Right. And then when we were, when we were talking to Sanjay Gupta, that's when we thought, okay, maybe we should quickly do it, and then had the company established. And, because we were also going to come in as a co-producer. So it was important to have an entity established.
That's pretty good, because I think, no offense, but do you think Vivek is like the Indian Kevin Feige for Yellow Dream Creations?
Well, we don't see. If you're going to look for a Stanley, right? We won't be able to find a Stanley.
Exactly, no doubt.
We'd find Stanley in 3 different people, or it could come in a different form. So I wouldn't call. I mean, between me and Vivek, neither of us might not be Kevin Feige. So, but we want to be Aswin Srivathsangam and Vivek Rangachari, right? In fact, I don't know, did I tell you this, that we don't want to be exactly Marvel, because we don't want to create an interconnected universe. Because we want to tell stories of different genres and completely each of its own universe. So that way we might be a bit of a DC,
Okay.
So in our DNA, we might be completely different. Yeah, I mean, to emulate Kevin Feige would be an aspirational. It'd be definitely aspirational. If you could do 1% of what Marvel has done, I think that I would take that.
Because we are pretty excited, like Indians, basically, after Bhavesh Joshi or any other Indian superhero films, people in India are excited to see a live action adaptation of this film. The Rakshak will be like the first live action adaptation of a comic book character or a comic book superhero character, right? So people are more excited for this film than any predecessor, I can say. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, none of the other superhero stories that were created in India was based on a piece of literature.
Right.
Comic book is a piece of literature. So Krish was created independently without a comic book.
Yeah.
You can say to an extent, director Shankar's Endran is also has this elements of a comic book.
Right.
And it's a superhero and science fiction. No, again, not based on a comic book, but if you it has the influence. Yeah. So that way, this Rakshak and Yali could be the first of this. I think if you call it, Raj Comics nearly did it. And they've been around for 40 years. I don't know how long they've been.
It's like they started in 80s something. 80s. So it's around 40 years.
Yeah. So they really did it with the Doga, and I don't know what happened beyond that.
Because they had the plans for a short film, but it did not happen, or they did not release it for the audience. I don't remember actually.
Yeah, they were supposed to do it with Anurag Kashyap.
Yeah.
Right.
There was also a short film, if you remember. They shot the film and they were planning to publish it on YouTube, but did not happen for I don't know what reasons.
Correct.
So maybe that's it. So talking about Rakshak, so how did Shamik Dasgupta approach you with a Desi version of vigilante superhero called Rakshak?
Yeah, the idea stemmed from Shamik. He came up with this idea of an ex-marine amputee superhero, not superhero, vigilante. So how did it happen? Almost like we wanted to keep it very grounded. He wanted to keep it very grounded. Aditya Shergill, the hero, the lead man, he's lost his arm, his sister and his sister's husband and his niece, they come down from US and come visit him to almost rehabilitate. So,
Right.
but when initially this idea was great, but then it wasn't as developed as it was at the very beginning, right? We chiseled it as we went along.
Right.
And also, it wasn't called Rakshak. It was, I think he initially called it Danch, as in brand, because he brands the people that he thinks are off, who are not, following the law. So,
Okay.
But then although it would fit with the theme, but it wasn't appealing enough. It didn't resonate. Then we were, suggesting different names, and I suggested Rakshak. Then Shamik and I agreed to it because it had like a pan-Indian appeal. I go to Kanyakumari, to Kashmir, and Rakshak, they would know what it is.
Right.
Means to do with protector.
Protector. Yeah.
So that's essentially what he becomes, right? And also it has a good recall value, Rakshak brand. And in the story, since you had read it, he creates a security company called Rakshak.
Yep.
Because he's an army retired now, so he wants to become a security guard kind of a thing, and he finds this company called Rakshak. Then he, of course, as you know the story, and becomes a vigilante. Like,
True.
Completely, it's the serendipity that takes him. He doesn't plan it. So we connected all the dots, and even the logo, the R, the symbol, right? If you look at it, it's a rupee symbol, right?
Yep.
It's if you look at it, it looks like a R from the Hindi language, Ra, and the R from English. So it's
a combination.
It's a combination, yeah.
So
that is how it was born. Rakshak was created.
Okay, so like it was only Shamek, or was it someone else as well?
Primarily Shamek and me, and the designs, maybe the initial brainstorming. Pramit Santra was also involved, the artist who probably did the 80% of the pages, but he didn't come up with the story. But of course, he worked on the more of the character design, right?
Okay.
So that's where he was involved. But as for the story, character, where it should happen, the length of the story, who could be the other characters, like Mano Kurana being the Rakshak tool, becoming the antagonist. And those are all that happened. Most of this conversation happened between me and Shamik.
Okay. While talking about character design, like it is not similar to any previous superheroes, or like you mentioned in the description on the Yearly Dream Works, the character is similar to Punisher, Daredevil, right? So it does not take any inspiration. The character design does not take any inspiration, but stands apart from it, right? So can you talk about how it is different from the other Marvel or DC character that you have mentioned in the description?
See, we want the design of the character very pragmatic, right? There's no cape. He's not going to fly.
Exactly.
And he doesn't have an arm. He doesn't have one of his arm, right? So he has one functional arm. So he has to do something about it. So he gets his thing. He gets an equipment connected using a car battery. So that is he would use to fight and to brand the people. So. And also he needed protective gear, right? So it could be his arms, it could be his legs, it could be his body. So if he's going to fight, so we looked at very practically what he needs, like a helmet. And also if he's going to go in the night, so what does he need a night vision goggle? Things like that. So when we released the first issue, he's wearing a hoodie. He hadn't been Rakshak yet. So he's just dark, and with a hoodie, he's fighting some few people. So when we released that cover, people are saying, "Oh, Green Arrow," right? Green Arrow was hardly the inspiration. So except for, there was nothing else that was a common denominator. And then some people saw the helmet, they thought, "Oh, it looked like Captain America." but at the end of the day is we wanted to create a character that would serve our needs, and also if it's completely uninspired from anywhere else? No, it's not. But at the same time, is it completely original? Maybe not, because the West has created so many superheroes, so many costume designs. So if you had to create something, it's if it has to resemble something, it would, inadvertently, even if it's not intentional.
Exactly.
So for us, it served our needs. What does he do? How does he look? So we didn't take it like, okay, he should have the helmet of this guy. He needs a helmet because he needs to protect himself.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that is how it was designed.
Because like you mentioned about each and every superheroes now currently which new superheroes are being created, they might have similar superpowers. Like for example, there are two Human Torches in Marvel, right? So like even Stanley mentioned in an interview that there might be some new superheroes with similar superpowers that people might call them as a copycat of one another, right? So that's the reason people are like most of the Indian audience, while they read comic books or they read Raj Comics, they compare it to the American comic book publisher. Like, yeah, this character looks like this one, or this hero is like has powers, or but like compared to like similar to Superman or Batman, he looks like same. So
Right.
like that's the reason I asked you, like, what is the uniqueness about the Rakshak that is like more relatable to the Indian audience, the crux of the story.
So the story-wise, I think it touches many social issues. Even the catalyst of why he becomes Rakshak is something very relatable to the Indian audience. It's Nirbhaya. There's a Nirbhaya-like incident that happens.
Exactly.
That is something anyone who has lived, who's been around for some time, they know. Okay, oh yeah, Nirbhaya. And then following Nirbhaya, there were so many other the cases that happened similar to that across the country. But Nirbhaya is one that took the national interest. And there are other social issues we are touching upon, so that is relatable to especially issue 3, where we have sub characters and subplots, and then they come into the issue 4, right? You would see that we were completely inspired by what we read, right? So and the lifestyle and and the equation that Aditya Shargil shares with his niece. And what does he share with Mano Khurana? So those are things that are truly Indian.
Okay.
And they are relatable, how you see it, and also we were even we even use the real. We didn't just create fictitious places in Delhi. So the story is set in Delhi, and we use the real setting so that people know. Okay, all right, I know this place there. Okay, and they can, when they see it, they can relate to it. So that is going to be different from maybe. When I see some of the superhero stories created in India, not vigilante per se, but successful, non-successful, some of them they don't get into the lives of the people. They just created as a Superman counterpart of India. So that doesn't work. So some of we teach those cultural points, cultural social happenings, social issues. So that was integrated well in Rakshak. That's also something that Mr. Sanjay Gupta liked about how Rakshak is done. And he's also kicked about how the antagonist, Mano Khurana, has turned out to be. Because Aditya Shargil is going to fight a man who is half his age, twice his speed. And on top of it, Mano is he recruits other vigilantes to fight Aditya. So his odds are stacked completely against Aditya Shargil.
So is that the reason behind you or Vivek adapting this comic book into a live action film, or were there any previous plans for the same?
Can you rephrase? I mean, when you say previous plans, as in
like you mentioned, you had this plan about making adapting comic books into a live action film. So is this the reason, like which attracted Sanjay Gupta to make it into a live action film?
Yeah, there was a few reasons, right? So one, the story is grounded. It's almost believable that a
Yeah.
man like Aditya Shergill becoming Rakshak is like a hero. Rightly, the tagline goes, "A hero amongst us."
Right.
So a man like him could easily exist. It's almost like a believable thing. He's not a Superman, like an alien, right? So that is one. The believable nature, the integrating the social issues of
Mhm.
India that's happening around, like it's not something that happened 20 years ago or 50 years ago. It's happening now.
Yep.
So, but that's one thing that attracted him. Then, of course, the third and most important factor is the antagonist. How strong he's been built, his backstory, and and also since you had read it, the ideological difference between the antagonist and the hero. The antagonist ideology almost sounds like you want to support him.
Yep.
So that is something people liked about Black Panther. It
Hmm.
resonated with people. So, but at the same time, the lead man is right.
Yes. So we have to take him down. So
Yeah.
so making it like a relatable character, even we can relate to Thanos or Darth Vader, like per se.
I mean, how often are you going to see a real Thanos?
Not real Thanos, like his motives behind uh
Yeah.
like wiping out 50% of population from the entire
Yeah.
universe. That
Yeah.
like we honestly we had this moment like yeah he is right, like wiping down the 50% population will uh, help many people or the resources,
Right.
right? Yeah. So what about like how did you?
That's a larger than life super villain. But yes,
Yeah.
but from his viewpoint, you might almost agree with him.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes sense. So if you look at Mano Kurana, his
Hmm.
story arc, you'd probably think, oh, maybe he's right, and maybe you should take justice in your hand. But then that's the beauty of the story. How it's created is you towards the end, it's Mano was not right. It's
Right.
Aditya who's right.
Exactly. So, like, how about the Rakshak film, live action film? So, how did you bring director Sanjay Gupta on board to direct the film? Like, did you
Yeah,
pitch him the story, or like, what happened?
yeah. I can tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah.
As I told you, I had approached John Abraham in March 2018.
Hmm.
We were represented by an agency here in Hollywood, the
Okay.
CAA, and
Hmm.
CAA has they are also doing they are representing some of the actors who are in India. So especially Deepika Padukone. She did a Hollywood project, and CAA represented her. And I
Yeah.
think they also represented Priyanka Chopra in the first few projects.
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
and before she went on to a different agency. But then, the CA has David Tagioff is a is his mom is an Indian, so he has roots in India. So he is one of the agents who are representing us, and he was intrigued by the story of Rakshak, and he wanted to know who I think would fit in. So one of the names that I gave was John, and we had started a conversation with John, and then eventually I met him in Mumbai. He was shooting his film in St. Xavier's College, and he carved out a time. It all happened in a short time. And between his shoots, he gave me complete attention, spoke to me, gave me attention. And then he said, we asked CAA to find a director, but then CAA was doing many other stuff. They're not. I'm not the one declined. So,
Hmm.
and Shamik was working with the Roshans on a big project. I can't give you the details of the project,
No, it's
but
completely fine.
Mr. Rakesh Roshan and Hrithik Roshan, he was working with them.
Hmm.
And that's when he met Mr. Sanjay Gupta.
Okay.
And and that's when Shamik, he gave the comic books to him. And then Mr. Sanjay Gupta, he read it, he got in touch with me. I think April last year. And then, and I was also wanting to do something with the story. And I mean, again, Mr. Gupta is the right person to help the project, but there's something else that I wanted to do with Rakshak.
Okay.
And then eventually, when the stocks continued, and we thought this is the direction we need to take. Mr. Gupta is the right person, and also, and my conversation, my parallel conversation with Vivek Rangachari was also going on. So we created this entity, Yari Dreamworks. Mr. Sanjay Gupta came in as the director and producer with Whitefoot Entertainment. So everything happened. We signed the deal last year, end of last year. Thankfully, we didn't push it any further. I wouldn't have been able to come in person with the COVID. So in fact, I flew in to India, Mumbai, India I think I was there in Mumbai for 5 days.
Okay.
I met Mr. Gupta for a couple of times,
Hmm.
and the deal was sealed.
Oh, that's good. But talking about the film, is the movie a direct adaptation of the comic book, or will there be any changes made to the story that fits
I think
in?
as of now it's going to follow the comic book pretty closely. It's going to be pretty honest. It's going to be a pretty close adaptation of the comic book. Of course, there'll be smaller changes, and maybe there might be change in the scenes. It might happen.
Mhm.
Or some characters might have to be left out. But if you talk about the storyline itself, the basic crux of it, it's going to be pretty close to what the comic book has.
So about the like you mentioned
Mhm.
about the movie. So will it be divided into four parts? Will it be focused like a comic book? There are four parts, right? For the four issues for Rakshak Volume One. We can say there are four issues for Volume One. So are you planning to divide it into four different movies or two different movies?
No, as of now, it's just seen as one film. The whole
One film.
story arc, Hero Among Us, is going to be one film. So
Okay.
therefore, if you look at it, it's 350 pages.
Hmm.
Uh, now, how I look at it is a page in a comic book. Sometimes it translates to a minute in the movie.
True.
But action scenes in comic books could be shorter, but whereas the movie is longer, right? And going by that, Mr. Gupta, when I asked Mr. Gupta about this, I had this curiosity whether it's going to be two films or one. He said it's going to be a fat-free, one tight film. So there might be parts of the story of the comic book that might be left out, but it has to be condensed.
Hmm.
It's going to be tighter, you can say, the storytelling than the comic book.
So the thing I'm asking is you guys are planning to keep the major parts from the storyline, how relevant the Nirbhaya case is to the comic book. So are you guys planning to refer to the case or
No. We have since you read it,
yeah,
we don't have an actual
no space.
reference.
Yeah.
An event like Nirbhaya that is the catalyst for Aditya Shargil to become Rakshak. So there's no
Yeah.
reference.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No reference I'm talking about the comic book.
Yeah.
Will there will it be similar to the story which we have seen in the comic book, like his sister getting raped or the part?
Yes. I
So
think
you're
those
planning to
things
do it?
yeah, I think it's going to be a very honest adaptation. So I think those elements we're
Hmm.
going to stick to the basic storyline. Whatever you
Hmm.
see in the four-part series is going to be there in the movie. Uh, whether something is going to be added a little more, something that's going to be added for the cinematic adaptation, and
Hmm.
something that's going to be removed, that's a different thing. But if you'll ask me about the important catalyst, the introduction to Manav Kurana, to how does Aditya Shargil become Rakshak,
That's right.
those are things that are going to be part of it, and maybe even the other vigilantes. So they're going to be part of the movie.
Okay. So like you mentioned earlier, that you are planning to introduce a new sequel to the comic book. So are you
Mhm.
guys planning to make a sequel film after Raksha?
Well, I don't know. At this point, I can't commit to it. In India, sequels are made based on the success.
Success. True.
Yeah. So sometimes, therefore, it looks some of the movies they look like an afterthought
Mm-hmm.
to the first successful film. Now, we are not there ready yet, like Marvels, and even DC is not able to emulate that. Forget Marvel. So Marvel has done it. So
Yeah.
whether we could do it, I do not know. If we could do it, I think it'd be great. But as a comic book publisher, at least we want to create the next story arc, And Mr. Gupta, he wants to create it. But whether it's going
Okay.
to happen, it's totally up to the audience.
So guys, audience, for you it is like you have to support our Indian films, Indian superhero films, because if you want to see like live action adaptation of a comic book superhero, you have to support and go to theaters and support this film. You have to do this.
Yep,
So
definitely.
you like Ashwin, can you tell us tell our audience about this, like supporting the Indian superhero films and how
Yeah,
can they do this?
I think regardless of a superhero film or a non-superhero film, I think the audience should be responsible to support good content. Support good content, and I believe Rakshak is a good content. And Rakshak would is in the safe hands of Mr. Sanjay Gupta. It's going to become I honestly believe it's going to be a good film, an action-packed, emotional. It would have everything for a different audience. You don't have to be a superhero fan to watch it. Even general audience, I think they'll be able to resonate with the character. Even as I was telling Abhishek, the characters, the subplots, and everything is based on many of the socio-economic and physio conditions of India. So you don't have to be a superhero fan. You would be able to relate it. So go watch it.
So like many like I posted about this, like I promoted this page, the Geeky Talk Show, on my Instagram and Facebook page. So I asked some audience, like my followers, that about will there be what questions you would you like to ask Ashwin on this video call. So like many of them mentioned, will there be a yearly DreamWorks universe like Marvel or DC, like that you're planning to do?
Yeah, yeah. It's a little too early for me to answer that question. But if the way I look at it, Rakshak, if it has a sequels, that could be a Rakshak universe, right? I would love Rakshak to have sequels because we already have it in our mind, and comic book for the second story arc is already 1/3 done. So, but at the same time, Rakshak, the universe of Rakshak is completely disconnected from the universe of the Caravan. The
Right.
universe of Caravan is completely disconnected from the universe of the village. And same with other stories. So whether we would create an interconnected universe, it's a little too early to say. And do I want to create it? Maybe yes, maybe not. I'm fine either way. But whatever I want to do, maybe we want a cohesive story for, let's say, Rakshak can be a standalone series, right? And it could be a unique and a strong story. And a Caravan can be an independent series. So without, we might take good parts of both Marvel and DC, and it's, and at the end of the day, it could be a unique DNA, a Yali DNA. Does it? Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Because people, the Indian audience are like, if a film does good in theaters, they want to see more of it. Like in recent times, there have been several superhero films in India that people really liked it, but did not do good on box office. But people really liked it. People enjoyed it on Netflix or Amazon Prime, whatever the OTT platforms are. So they really want to like the Indian superhero movies or TV shows to go further and get a new sequel to tell new stories from Indian point of view.
Right. Yeah, I would say definitely Rakshak as a universe has that room for it. So there could be a character like there's a character named Hammer, right? So we could expand on him, and that can become a web series,
like a spin-off series.
Yeah, a spin-off, correct, exactly. Yeah. So that possibilities, we would like to entertain those possibilities. Again, the success of the first one is always very important. So
depends on that.
Right, totally depends on that. So and that's when the studios, the platforms, the audience are more confident, and other people involved are also confident. So the success of it is going to be a confidence booster for us to go further with the Rakshak.
Exactly.
Otherwise, we would still continue the independent, not interconnected, but independent universes like the caravans and the villages. We would still continue doing that. That's not going to stop us. Yeah.
So will you guys be promoting this film? Like most if I have to mention Bhavesh Joshi superhero, right?
Mhm.
It had the superhero name in it, but did not do good on box office because they did not promote the film as a superhero film. They promoted it as a underdog vigilante who protects this city, Mumbai, right? So how are you guys planning to market it?
Yeah, I think that brings a very good question. I think Bhavesh Joshi, I did not hear about the content until close to the release of the film.
Exactly.
So
True.
the promotions were far and few. So I think in today's day and age, a film I think allocates the budget of the film. They allocate at least 10 to 15% of the budget is almost allocated to the promotions.
True.
So Mr. Gupta, when I spoke to him, he's interested to go promote it every platform, Comic Cons, and I would actually want to. I even spoke to Mr. Gupta to even come promote it at the San Diego Comic Con when we are close to the release. The teaser. He likes the idea. When again, it's all got to do with timing, right? Whether who's where and whether it's doable. But ideally, I want to do it. And I would, since we hadn't started shooting, maybe I'll go push that idea further when we are close to the release. Close to the release of at least the promo. We need to have something for us to promote. So we don't want to leave no stones unturned. So even promoting of the comic book in the initial phase, talking to, giving my interviews, I think it's all good PR. I think those are things I feel Bhavesh Joshi might have missed out.
True. So did you guys about talking about the comic books? Did you guys go out to Comic Con India or like Comic Con Mumbai or Comic Con Delhi, Comic Con Bangalore to promote the Raksha comics or any Yali Dreamworks or Dream Creations?
Yeah, we were present in all the Comic Cons from 2013 to 2018. We would go to all the cities, Bangalore, Hyderabad, then Pune, Mumbai, Delhi. So I think in our initial reactions we heard about our stuff came from the comic book fans. So first it started with Caravan. People were excited with the Caravan. Then we did the Devi Chaudhrani. People wanted more Caravan. Then we did the prequel for Caravan. And then at the point when Shamek wanted to do more and more Caravan, I thought we should hold it back because I wanted to invest my time, energy, money, everything on other stories too, not just limit ourselves to just, I want Yadi Dream Creations to be known as Yadi Dream Creation, not the Caravan. So, and that's when we created the Rakshak and the village came into being. And yeah.
So here we are now.
Here we are, right.
But
And to add more to it, in fact, the Caravan found its initial interest from a filmmaker from Mumbai Comic Con. I think the year was 2015.
Okay. Cool.
So that's where that led us to we optioning our content to Anushka Sharma's company. I was talking to Karnesh, our brother, who takes care of the company, Clean Slate Film. So then, that's how the deal happened. They optioned it. An option, I don't know if it's to most people who don't understand it. It's think of it like a lease period. So it's option for 2 years, which is a lease for 2 years. If the company doesn't do anything about it, the rights come back to us.
Oh, yeah. Same like what Spider-Man. There were stories about theories about Spider-Man going back to Marvel Studios after after Tobey Maguire one.
Yes. I think Sony. Yeah, it's a thing, right? Marvel was almost bankrupt when they had given Spider-Man to Sony.
Yeah.
They had a complete reversal of fortune after Disney takeover and the success that followed after that, right? So they wanted to take back Spider-Man, and then rest. I mean, you know, you already spelled it. What happened? You know, everyone knows what happened to the team. So
Yeah.
ours wasn't like that. I mean, this is it's typical of film companies it could happen to a book. It can happen to a regular book or a screenplay, or a comic book. So comic these days, they option a content which has a tenure. It could be 12 months, it could be 24 months, it could be 36 months. So sometimes they just renew the release, or they renew the contract in good faith that they could achieve something with that time period. But then it's an advantage for both the parties, for the filmmakers or film companies. So they haven't bought the content, but they have access to the content. For somebody like me, a publisher, a creator, uh, when if I have to sell the content and nothing happens to it, I mean, it is kind of sometimes it's like, oh my God, when I sold it, I wish I had waited. So it gives me that option where 2 years back or 3 years back, I get the right back and I can still take it somewhere else.
True. And that's
It works for both the parties, the
Yeah.
production house and the creator.
Yeah, and like you mentioned about Anushka Sharma's Screen Set Slate production, right? They
Right.
recently they made Patal Lok, a web series, and Bulbul. I guess it was for Netflix.
Correct.
So like you approached Anushka Sharma's production house. So are you guys planning Rakshak to make it like live on Netflix or any OTT platforms, or will it be coming to theaters so audience can enjoy it?
Yeah, initially when we created Shamik and I, we saw Rakshak as a series.
Mhm.
Uh, even the story, the 350 pages, we thought it's good material for one season, right? So
Mhm.
that's how we saw it initially. But then Mr. Gupta thinks he wants to make a film. The spin-offs could be the series. So we still think it's a credible medium. It's a great medium,
Mhm.
but Rakshak, he thinks it deserves to be a theater watch.
Yeah. So I guess this ends with our film-related questions. So moving on, I'll be talking about like your experience in the comic book industry and what suggestions you can give to the like novice or beginners who are interested in comic books and comic book illustrations and all. So starting with the first question, what are the tips for young writers or for writing and publishing their own comic books in India?
Hmm. Right. See, well, I think when I started it, there was no path that was laid out, right? So there was not a path laid out for me to walk on. So I was paying it as I was walking. So hopefully, the success of Yali and other publishers, I don't want to limit to just Yali Dream Creations. Yali Dream Creations is broken in the audiovisual format, but there are other publishers like Holy Cow, there's Bullseye, and of course there's Graphic India, so who have done it. So I think as a writer, don't limit yourself to come up with a good story. But don't think of it just as a comic book, but do a story that's without it limiting it to a comic book format. Maybe you can, try approaching the established publishers, although there's not a huge number. Approach them with your story, see if they can publish it for you, right? And approach, I'm sure Holika is interested to take in new writers. Yali is looking for new writers, new collaborators. So so you can approach us to see if it's an exciting idea. I'm sure we would take it. We would love to talk. And I think with the stories, success stories such as ours, I think it's going to encourage more writers, more artists. There is definitely a future. There's definitely a career you can make from this.
So, how will you suggest new writers or comic book like filmmakers who are interested in making superhero films or TV shows or a web series? How will you like suggest them? Like, should they approach a comic book publisher or a superhero? Or a production house like a small production house or a bigger one like Sanjay Gupta's?
How should they approach them?
Yeah. So should they approach the comic book publishers or the production houses? What do you think?
I mean, it really depends on their connections, right? So if they're able to approach the filmmakers, I'm sure they can. But then when it's a published medium, there's a lot more respect, and also it guards you, it protects you because it's a published medium. Thankfully I met honest people, but there are people who also can take your content, because a man with a red cape flying and who also is also a son of a farmer is very generic, right?
True.
Anybody can create that. There's no copyright to that idea. And a man now who lost his parents as a child, and goes on to become a vigilante. There's no copyright to that.
Yes.
So even they can, so what I'm trying to say is making it as a literary medium, either a book, novel, comic book. It's a story, it's published, and it's copyrighted. So it has a lot more credibility, a lot more respect, and it protects you. So I would suggest you do that before taking it around. Again, once you, maybe an established name, it might be easier for you to break in. But I would really sincerely advise you to take that hard path of maybe creating that into some kind of a literary medium. So if it's a comic book or a novel, then approach comic book publishers, self-publish it. Then Comic Con India also gives you the support and platform for you to promote it, and use the platforms like Amazon, Comixology. I'm sure now there is a dearth for good content. There's dearth for content, and even so for good content. If your content stands out, I'm sure it will see the day and light.
True. So like you mentioned earlier, the idea might be similar, like the crux of the story, like anyone can wear a red cape and has a superhuman power similar to Superman. So
Right.
how do you stand out from other existing comic books and the version of superheroes? What would you recommend the Indian writers and illustrators?
Right. It is difficult to do a superhero story, but when somebody tells me, I've been approached by writers who say, I have a superhero idea. So what? I mean, so does so many others too, But what is unique about it, it's all got to do with the origin of the superhero. What is the differentiator? Does it culturally connect? A man who can fly is so generic, and I don't want to hear that. That's not a one-liner. That's not an elevator pitch that will sell me, right? But then a vigilante who is an amputee who goes through this journey, and this is what makes him rakshak, right? That is that unique selling point. You should identify as a writer. You have to find your USP, the USP of the story, not your USP, but the USP of the story. That as a writer, you need to find out first. You need to see, then approach. Just selling another superhero. Trust me, I've been contacted through Yali Dream Creation saying that I have a female superhero story. So,
what is the USP? Even that person does not know.
Correct. You as a writer, you identify it. You try to stand out of the crowd, right? Do your research about the other superheroes. You research about us. I mean, as in Yali Dream Creation, when people approach me, most of them, they hadn't even read what we had done. They just look at what we have on the website. That's not good enough. You read what we had done. Research. It's all research. The devil is in the detail. Secret sauce, what would it be? We, as Yali Dream Creations, I think well, Marvel why can't Marvel come into India and create Indian superheroes, and why do we have to do it, right? So I'm just trying to rephrase your question so audience understand it. Yeah. And so what would differentiate? We can differentiate because we whatever story that we are trying to tell, we try to find how does it culturally integrate, right? I mean, that is one, and integrated with the Indian story, Indian
Sorry.
culture,
Hmm.
and we look at it various aspects. So visually, are we going to take it much more breathtaking than what as Marvel and DC can? Maybe not. We don't have that kind of budget. So
True.
Shek is a very grounded story. So it's a story that we can make it with Indian budget. Even Indian budget doesn't have to have a Bahubali kind of a budget. It's
True.
probably in budgeting terms. It could be much smaller than even Krish or Endran, Shankar's
Hmm.
Endran.
Hmm.
So maybe we can squeeze 3 Rakshaks in the budget of an Endran. So those are the things that we look at, those unique aspects of, okay, that it doesn't have to have the enormous budget, but at the same time, could it be loaded with details of the storytelling, interesting characters, characters that you can relate to. When you see a Mano Kurana, a guy like him could exist. Yes, he could. And maybe Aditya Shargal himself, those are things we look at. Same goes with The Village. Slightly digressing.
Hmm.
We are using casteism in it's a social horror. We're using that, which is a unique thing, which is only for India. Because that story you can't make it in China. If you have to make it in China, you have to make it with China, the culture that's set in China.
True.
So we look at closely what culturally can be connected in India. So that is definitely, and look at where we can be different in terms of culture, budget, and the telling of the story. So these are
True.
factors for us. Then we do it. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was a bit, but I hope I got it.
that's true. But sorry, I forgot to mention earlier about this. Like you mentioned about Rakshak film. So, are you guys planning to keep it like will there be more CGI or practical effects in the film?
I don't think Rakshak is a heavy CGI based film, but there
True.
will be CGI for sure. It
Like
will
for
take
the
place in.
action sequences, right?
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. You know, but it's not a heavy CGI based film because Rakshak is not going to. He's not. None of the
Character.
people characters are superpowers.
Hmm.
So they are going to don costumes. Yes, they are costume people. They are some superhero human element to it, which is not superhero element, but superhuman in their abilities, their physical abilities. In the sense they
Hmm.
can't fly, they can't do, but they can. They probably would. How do I put it? There are people with a great character. They're more than superhero. They probably have great willpower than
Hmm.
superhero.
True. So
You'll find Aditya Shargal being pushed to the corner, but how does he come out of it?
out of it. Yep,
Yeah.
that's true. So, so we have done with the comic books and movies as well. So, moving on to flash speed round. So, it is
Mhm.
like you have to answer in minimum of 4 to 5 words. Okay.
Okay.
So,
I
let's
like
start. Your favorite superhero
Rakshak.
apart from Rakshak,
Batman.
Batman. Yeah. Favorite comic book or graphic novel?
300.
300. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Favorite genre in superhero movies or superhero stories in general?
Superhero stories in general. I think
Yeah.
Vigilante stories are probably the most favorite, like Daredevils and Batman's. And of course, I'm not averse to seeing a Superman. But
And
it's more relatable when it's more grounded.
grounded superheroes. Yeah. Influences from the comic book world that you follow.
Uh, there's so many influences. One of my influences has been Mark Miller. He's so inspirational.
Hmm.
Uh,
He's like the
bec- uh,
craziest guy I know. Like, not
yes,
personally, but he's like the craziest person.
yeah, but see what I like about Mark Miller's success is probably among his contemporaries,
Hmm.
he knows what sells for an audiovisual format.
True, no doubt.
Yeah, there are better writers than him, but he knows what sells.
True. The superhero code that you admire most.
Superhero code that I admire, right? if I had to borrow it from Spider-Man, and with superpowers comes responsibilities, right? So, what is the exact phrase?
With great powers, there must also
Great
come
power.
great responsibilities.
Right, exactly. So I would take that. I would apply that to many of my, I mean, even my future characters.
True. Okay, so final words, Ashwin. How can interested comic book writers and illustrators contact you or Yellow Dream? Yellow Dream Works or Yellow Dream Creations?
Yeah, we have a good presence on the social media, so they can contact us through the Facebook, Instagram, and of course our website, Yali Dream Creations. So far, people had contacted us through by filling up the form, or they can go to contact@yalidreamcreations.com, or they can even email me directly, Aswin, ESVIN at yalidreamcreations.com.
Okay. And any parting thoughts or words that you would like to share with the audience?
So I would say that stay safe. The season is COVID and the pandemic. I think it's more important than ever to wear a mask. And you know,
I got your
So-
pun right here.
yeah. So be a hero by wearing a mask.
True, that's true. So thank you, Ashwin, for coming to this Geeky Talk show, and it was amazing. Thank you for giving me this opportunity of interviewing you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Appreciate you making this time, setting this up.
No problem. So
All right.
have a good day. Have a good day, Ashwin, and I'll probably have a night because it is almost past 1:30 right now.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Okay. Thank you, Ashwin.
Hey Narayan, thank you for watching today's video and I hope you really liked it. So I hope you are going to support Indian content, Indian superhero content, making the creators and filmmakers bring a good superhero storyline onto the big screen. So that's it. That's it from my end and I hope you really enjoyed today's video with Aswin Srivatsangam. Make sure you check out the Yellow Dream Creations website. The link will be provided in the description below. You should definitely check out the Raksha comic books that is available on Yellow Dream Creations website, or you can also buy it from Comixology, which is an Amazon company now. It is like it hardly cost $1 per comic book. So you should definitely buy those comic books from Amazon from Comixology. Okay, and if you have any queries, like if you are a comic book illustrator or an artist who have to pitch a superhero comic book storyline, a good superhero comic book storyline, then you should definitely contact Yellow Dream Creations through their social media page, and also you can also check out their website. There's contact us section where you can contact the team at the Yellow Dream Creation. So that's it from my end. I hope you're doing good and stay home, stay safe. Till then.